The NBA offseason is going to be insane. And it's not just Kevin Durant. There are multiple all-stars who could move. But to put in perspective how wild this last trade deadline was, it broke the record for most players traded and all-stars traded. We've literally never seen anything like it. So if this offseason is half that, we are in for a ride. So who should we watch out for? Well, first is D'Angelo Russell. You know why D'Lo was so happy to leave the Lakers? It had nothing to do with free basketball away from LeBron. It's going to the Nets. But why would anyone want to be on the Nets? Because dude is a free agent. He's proven to disappoint in the playoffs year after year. And outside of a few good seasons, streaky shooter. The days of hope D'Lo leads a winning team are over. So who's gonna pay this guy? Well, in this new CBA, bad contracts are death. I predicted that Russell gets like $10 million per year after earning the max. But now he's on the Nets, the team with the most cap space in the NBA. And no real stars are gonna take their money. It's kind of like the Rockets 2 years ago. They had insane cap space, but all the stars said no, so they had to overpay Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet, who got the max. So D'Lo has just lucked in to his last gigantic contract. That trade from the Lakers made him like $100 million. But next is Kyrie Irving, and it's huge. Kyrie can opt out and be a free agent. Do you remember a few years ago, his reputation was trashed? Mavs gave him like a short 3-year deal as a gamble. Had the least leverage of any player in the NBA. Now, he's got the most leverage. Why? Because Kyrie leaving would be a disaster. Can you imagine if the Mavericks traded Luka for brittle Anthony Davis and then lose Kyrie? And why wouldn't he leave? When the Mavs and Lakers just played, Kyrie called Luka his brother. Well, how are they treating his brother? Dallas is assassinating Luka's character every chance they get. New stories every week about how lazy and hard to work with Luka is. Like the trade itself was bad enough, but then the Mavs make themselves look terrible. So Kyrie could easily want out. Now it would have to be a sign and trade because no contenders have cap space. The Mavs would get something for him, but not much. So instead, Kai can demand the most years and money possible. And that max in Dallas is 5 years, $313 million. And normally they would be stupid to do that for a 32-year-old with a bulging disc in his back, but they've got no choice. Unless Kai would both stay and take a pay cut for Kevin Durant. That is the biggest fish this offseason. Made a whole video about why he's definitely leaving Phoenix. So I just want to lay out all the realistic places that KD could go. Think like a team that flames out in the playoffs and thinks, if we got KD, he'd put us over the top. So the Mavericks, the Rockets, though I think they'd prefer Booker. Timberwolves is actually a thing. Spurs have multiple salaries to match, like Harrison Barnes and Devin Vassell. Just saying. Heat, obviously, and the Thunder, but I don't think OKC is realistic. I mean, to get there, they would have to trade all sorts of guys like Isaiah Hartenstein, and I don't think they want that. Like I said, I've already spent a whole video on this. So next is Josh Giddey. We'll get back to the All-Stars, but Giddey is on fire right now. Like the Bulls trade Zach LaVine, they have injuries to Ayo Dosunmu, Patrick Williams, Jalen Smith, Nikola Vucevic, and Giddey is 78% from three since the All-Star break. Obviously, that's not sustainable, but Giddey in Chicago was just supposed to fade into the NBA background. He was the number 6 pick, but couldn't shoot, and it got so bad, teams would leave him wide open, and he got benched in the playoffs. OKC admitted their mistake, shipped him to Chi-Town. But quietly, dude is now hitting 37% from 3 this year on decent volume. If this is legit, he could be a real NBA player after all. He's just 22 years old. Now he's a restricted free agent, which means that the Bulls can match any offer that he gets, and the cap space rankings this offseason are Nets with a ton, Jazz with 30 million if John Collins opts out, which he won't, so they don't actually count. Pistons with up to 25 million, and the Grizz with up to 7 million. So unless the Nets swoop in to snag Giddey, I think he returns to Chicago on like 20 plus million, which was like 13 plus million just a few months ago. But back to the All-Stars, James Harden can be a free agent this offseason, but why would he leave? Well, you know that James is gonna ask for the most years of money he can get, but the Clippers want Harden to end the same year as Kawhi Leonard, both off the books at the same time for a fresh start. Well, what if that's not what James wants? We know dude loves him some Jimmy Butler level drama. Rockets didn't want to trade him, bam, fat suit. Nets didn't want to trade him, stopped trying in game. Philly didn't want to give him a contract, calls Daryl Morey a liar on camera. Oh, we could have another messy situation on our hands. I mean, especially after he flames out in the playoffs yet again. Every year of his career, it's a new low in the postseason, right? Are the Clippers gonna want to pay that guy? I think he most likely stays, but watch out for that drama. Like in Golden State with Jonathan Kuminga. They couldn't agree on a contract last summer. JK wants near the max and the Warriors disagree. I mean, the kid is a beast inside. He scores about 20 points per game, but they can't afford to overpay. JK is a restricted free agent. However, the Nets could be very interesting. I mean, if you were Brooklyn, which young players would you want to sign to build your team? Well, this is a list of the best players under 25 years old right now. Quentin Grimes, Santi Aldama, Jaime Jaquez, JK, and Giddey. Kuminga is by far the best available. How do the Nets not throw a boatload of money at him and price out the Dubs? Now, Warriors owner Joe Lacob said, hey, they are ready to pay up. But why didn't they do that last offseason? It's not like he broke out this year. So I think there is a legit chance the Warriors' young stud gets poached in free agency and nobody's talking about this. But Myles Turner is a vet a ton of teams could want. Why? Because he's in his prime at 28 years old. 41% from three this year as a center. Multiple time vote getter for Defensive Player of the Year. He would obviously be a perfect fit for the Lakers as a center upgrade or for the Warriors, both sign and trade teams. Now, reports said that Myles is looking for like 30 plus million per year, and the Pacers aren't sure that they want to pay that, which means they just made a big mistake by not dealing him at the deadline, because they're going to get a lot less of a trade package when he leaves this offseason. Now, other names to watch this offseason include LeBron James, who we all know isn't going to leave, so I didn't really do a deep dive. A lot of player options here, including Julius Randle, who will be very interesting to watch in Minnesota. He's never been a great fit from day one, and they probably want to duck under the second apron. No reason to be that expensive if you're not a real contender. And if Randle leaves, they will have lost Cat for basically nothing, which is sad. One team option with Fred VanVleet, we'll see what the Rockets do, and two trade guys that we didn't talk about, Zion Williamson and Trae Young. But this Kevin Durant stuff is about a lot more than just him. Devin Booker's career is now going backwards in his prime. There is no way he's going to want to stay in Phoenix if this continues. So, one team is ready to pounce.